Hi, I'm Howard Luloff, and today I am at the top of Rink 1 at the Bloomington Ice Garden before announcing 4 championship games in the Northland Hockey Group Letterman Cup. But before heading down to ice level, I am atop Rink 1 at the site of the Bloomington Hall of Fame. This morning we're going to honor 10 members, 5 men and 5 women who have contributed to the city of Bloomington. First up on the far right is Bob Utecht. For those of you who have followed the Minnesota North Stars since the beginning of 1967, and if you attended a game at Met Center at the time, he was the public address announcer for the North Stars, who opened every game with "Let's play hockey," which would also be the title of his long-running newspaper that he founded in 1972, and it's still going strong today under new ownership. Now, moving over to the left is Teresa Wright. Teresa was an outstanding bowler along with Georgine Cordes. And now we will move over to Red Haddocks right here. Red Haddocks contributed a lot to Bloomington baseball. If you go to Valley View Park on the corner of 90th and Nicollet, the main baseball field, which is home to the Bloomington Kennedy Eagles varsity baseball team, as well as the state amateur baseball tournament, as well as Bloomington's amateur and Legion teams, is in his name, Red Haddocks Field. Now we will move over to Betty Locken. Betty was involved with the Bloomington Athletic Association for many years as a volunteer. The Bloomington Athletic Association is one of the largest all-volunteer organizations in the country. And on a personal note, my parents have crossed paths with Betty. When we were involved in BAA athletics in 1972, Betty was involved with many scorekeepers throughout the association, and she was a long-time volunteer. There will be, as we head over to the next panel, and we take a shot at Judy Youngworth. Judy was a long-time head coach at Bloomington Lincoln. And for those of you high school sports trivia buffs out there, she was the first coach of the Bloomington High School girls hockey team. In the early days of Bloomington High School girls hockey, Jefferson and Kennedy combined to form one team due to numbers, and they still do today. Judy coached the first team in history, and I happened to attend the very first game in the Ice Garden. And the girl who scored the first goal in Bloomington history, Lindsay Christensen. Now we move to the top and Vonda Vetris. Vonda was not much of an athletic contributor, but we happened to cross paths several years ago over at the Bloomington Town Hall Museum, where she has been a long-time member of the Bloomington Historical Society. If you've not been to the Bloomington Town Hall Museum, do go. There are a lot of interesting exhibits, and for those who grew up in Bloomington, there are a number of high school yearbooks from the past, whether it's Jefferson, Kennedy, and Lincoln. Now we'll scoot down for Greg Treble. Greg was a longtime coach in the Bloomington Jefferson Youth Hockey Association. He coached many talented players and led the Jaguars to numerous state tournaments in the Bantam Division. He later became a head coach over at Holy Angels and led the Stars to a state title. Now we scoot over next door to Greg Treble, to Stan Shea. Stan Shea was a longtime head coach at Lincoln, When Lincoln closed down in 1982, Shea took over the head coaching duties after Bruno Waldner retired. Stan's daughter Jody is an outstanding skater, and his grandson Brady later went on to play in the NHL. Now we will move over to the next panel, to Marcia Hertigan Athman. Marcia was a BAA parent for many years, as well as a single parent to 3 children, Brent, Breon, and another who I have known for many years, going back to junior high and also in high school. Later, we crossed paths on a delivery for Jimmy John's when he was working in construction in Golden Valley. Sadly, he passed away several years ago. I am talking about Blaine Hertigan. Blaine was also a fellow Jefferson graduate in 1980. And wrapping up this look at the Bloomington Hall of Fame is a former Minnesota Viking, Milt Sunday. After his playing days ended, Milt served as a volunteer coach for the girls' basketball team at Trinity School at River Ridge, where I did the public address announcing for 5 seasons before moving on to Holy Angels and a 9-year run. Interesting story about Milt. I was working the Minnesota Christian Athletic Association tournament at Bethany Academy in Bloomington. And while I was promoting the concession stand, Milt nearly broke me up by saying, "You should get a commission." He made me crack up laughing. So those are some of the fine men and women who were inducted into the Bloomington Hall of Fame. Just above him is Greg Clevin, who wrote for the Bloomington Sun for many years. I'm Howard Luloff. Hope you enjoyed this brief retrospective of the Bloomington Hall of Fame.